Welcome to the Growth Through Adversity podcast, where men are forged, not coddled. Here we dive deep into the path of true transformation in pursuit of physical, mental, spiritual, and temporal growth. We talk training, nutrition, business, mindset, and spirituality. We embrace strength and we loathe ease. We reject weakness in every form and cultivate power, the will to power itself. This is the rebirth of modern man. Raw masculinity, tempered by reason, virtue, and right action, because nothing of value is earned without sacrifice. Let's begin our apotheosis together. Welcome to another episode of the Growth Through Adversity podcast with your host, Ragnar the Warwolf. What is happening, people? So today we are going to talk about how to build your nutrition plan, both macros and calories, how to calculate them yourself and have the tools that you need to actually either build muscle or burn fat, and to do it properly. So I'm going to give you a super simple framework and system that will just give you really easy steps on calculating your macros and your calories no matter what you're doing. So most people end up failing because they have absolutely no idea what the fuck they should be eating. They jump from fad diet to fad diet, keto, fasting, whatever it might be, but they never actually understand. They might get results, but they never understand the numbers that actually drove those results, right? So they're not really able to replicate that on a long-term basis. And this is where we see the lose weight, rebound, where you gain all the weight back, cycle. And a lot of that comes from not understanding what makes your body actually lose fat and what makes at a more fundamental level, what makes your body weight go up and what makes your body weight go up and what makes your body weight go down. So today I'm breaking down exactly how to calculate your own macros and calories with no apps, no bullshit. You don't even need an internet connection. We're going to keep this really fucking simple. Just some very basic math and some very real results. So by the end, you'll know exactly how to eat for fat loss or for muscle gain, right? And we're going to explain kind of some of the fundamental differences between those two things as well. So number one, understanding your macros and your calories. First of all, calorie itself is a measurement of heat, right? It is a measurement of energy. So everything you eat has a caloric value. Protein and carbs have 4 calories per gram. Fat has 9 calories per gram. So right there, you can see fat has over double the calories. Fat isn't inherently bad for you. It's not the devil, but it is very calorically dense. So if you eat a high-fat diet, you are going to get a lot more calories for a lot more calories for a lot less food, which when you're not eating a lot of food and you're in a deficit, it sucks. So yeah, high-fat diets, they come at a cost. So that's calories. Now, macronutrients are what calories are made from. So these are nutrients that your body needs in macro or large amounts, right? Whereas micronutrients are nutrients your body needs in micro amounts. So the distinguishing feature there is your body needs macronutrients in a measurement measured by grams, and it needs micronutrients in a measurement measured in milligrams, right? So it's the amount of the different nutrients that you need. The 3 macronutrients are protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Protein builds and repair muscles, along with many other functions that it does in your body. Carbohydrates are your body's preferred fuel source. They store in your muscles and your liver as glycogen, which can then be liberated and turned back into glucose and used as fuel during your workouts or fuel on a day-to-day basis. So fats are essential for hormones and brain functions and also serve as a source of energy. The ratio of these macros determines how your body performs and how your body looks, what your body composition is. So if you don't understand macros, you shouldn't even be dieting. You just need to manage your intake, right? So, and that's really what it comes down to, is that I don't like to look at things as a diet. I like to look at holistic lifestyle changes. So we're not dieting, we're making fundamental changes to the way that we live on a day-to-day basis, so that we can build the physique that we want, and we can have the confidence and the energy and be the person that we want to be, right? So number 2, calculating total calories. So you can't figure out your macros until you figure out your calories first, right? So calories are going to be the aggregate number of calories that you eat on a day-to-day basis. So we're going to start with a super simple multiplier. Honestly, You can do this in ChatGPT. There is multiple calorie calculators of varying accuracy. It's very simple. There's 2 or 3 different formulas. You can do it. They have figured out how to write those formulas into apps. It's not very complicated stuff. But ultimately, like, this is going to be virtual. I just checked like caloriecalculator.net off of this. And it gave me almost the same number. So I actually, when I get a client, we actually do the whole formula and we figure out everything by hand, just because I want to actually absolutely dial everything down as tight as I can. But so this will give you within like 200 calories of that. So take your body weight time and multiply it by 12. Now, the one place this will give you a good baseline for fat loss, right? So this is going to give you a small caloric deficit, probably like 200 to 400 calorie deficit if you take your body weight and multiply it by 12. Now, obviously, the downside to this is if you're morbidly obese, this is not going to work. You're going to have to figure out your lean body mass. So you're going to have to figure out what you would be if you were relatively lean. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you're going to have to calculate how much fat roughly you're carrying on your frame. So if you're a 5'10" guy, a 5'9" guy, you're 250 pounds, you're obviously not going to take 250 multiplied by 12 because it's going to give you some astronomically high number, which is not going to be an accurate rendition of how many calories you need to eat, but rather so if you're 5'9", what are most 5'9" guys? Probably what, about 185 pounds? I'm 190 pounds. And I'm 5'9". So you're going to take 190 pounds and multiply that by 12. That's going to give you roughly 2,400 calories, which is going to be a good baseline to start for your fat loss. Now, if you're looking to build muscle or just maintain mass, you're going to want to start at maintenance, which is going to be your body weight, your lean body weight, times 14. That's going to give you roughly your maintenance calories. This is not going to be 100% perfectly accurate, but it is going to give you a decent starting point, rather than like a prison sentence. And also, it's going to surprise you that your baseline maintenance calories are probably higher than you're thinking you need to eat, right? So part number 3 is going to be setting up your macros based off that number. So I'm going to go off of my number. So I'm 194 pounds. When I ran my numbers, I came up with about 20. I'll run them again here while I have you guys in here. So let me find my calculator. Productivity calculator. Okay, so 194 times, let's start with 12. Yeah, that gives me 2328. So that is roughly a good spot for me to start for a deficit, if I wanted to lose some weight, right? So that's a good spot to start for fat loss. Now we're going to calculate off of that number. I've got 2,300 calories. We're going to calculate my macronutrients. So the first thing that I always want to figure out is protein. So you're going to want to eat 1 gram of protein, again, per pound of lean body mass. So again, if you're morbidly obese, you're 260 pounds, you do not need to eat 260 grams of protein. You probably need to eat 185, maybe round it up to 200, 210 just to be safe. Going over on protein is always a good idea. So for myself, I regularly eat 200 grams of protein. I've been in the habit of doing that for years. It's just a really good point. So we're going to be 200 grams of protein. That's my macros. This is going to keep you full and it's going to preserve your muscle during cuts. So I'm in this little bit of a deficit, 2,300 calories. I want to lose fat. I don't want to lose any of my hard-earned muscle. So this is going to help me do that. And it's going to build muscle while we're in a surplus. So number 2 is going to be fats. If we don't dial in the fats, if we're eating too low of fats, what's going to happen is it's going to crash our hormones. Many of our hormones, especially testosterone, but most of the sex hormones are synthesized from cholesterol, which ultimately comes from fat. So you have to have an absolute minimum of 20%. Sometimes you can crank that down as low as 15% for short bursts, but 20% is a safe number on a minimum for fats. So I do like to stay on the lower end of the fat spectrum, just because I don't want to crank my calories up I want to get a lot of volume of food per calorie. So I want to eat the least amount of fat possible in my diet so that I can do that. Because I want to eat more food throughout the day. I don't want to be fucking starving all day. I don't want to look like a fucking Ethiopian, like I'm starving all day, right? So, the way that we'll do that is 2,400 calories times 0.20. It's going to give us 480 calories divided by 9. There's 9 calories per gram of fat. It's going to give us 53 grams of fat, right? So we're 200 grams of protein. I'm at 53 grams of fat. Now, you don't really have to overthink that. It's almost always going to pull out somewhere between 50 grams of fat and about 70 grams of fat when you're in that 20% ratio. So if you pick a number somewhere between 50 and 70%, you're not going to be too far off. So the last thing we're going to figure out is we're just going to fill in all the gaps with gaps with carbohydrates. So I prefer a higher carb diet, and what this is ultimately going to come out to is 2,300 of my calories. Let me just look real quick. 23 divided by so 200 times 4, boom. So 800 calories are coming from protein. 480 are coming from, let's just round that up to 500. So 1,300 of my calories are spoken for. I have 1,000 calories in carbohydrates. That's going to be about 400 grams of carbs. Or I'm sorry, that's going to be about 250 grams of carbs. So that leaves me 250 grams of carbs. So I have 1,000 calories. I have 1,000 calories left in carbohydrates. 1,000 times 4 equals 250. There's 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates. So here I have my macros. Very simply, I have 200 grams of protein. I have 53 grams of fat, and I have 250 grams of carbs. That literally took me a couple of seconds and some very fucking basic math to figure out. So, and again, you don't really have to overthink this. If you start with protein, make sure you're getting 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. Make sure you're at about 20% fats, and then just fill the rest in with carbs. So it's very simple. Remember the rule 9-4-4. So 9 calories from fat, 9 calories per gram from fat, 4 from carbs, 4 from protein, and this becomes very easy mathematics. Again, there's apps that can help you do this too. I'm just showing you the old school way how to do it here, how we used to do it back in my day, back in 63. So very simply, I prefer a diet that's a little bit higher in carbs to fat ratio. I want that fat number to be right around 20% because carbohydrates help you perform in the gym. They give you more strength. They give you more power. I just prefer it. Some people go like the higher fat. That's kind of something you're just going to have to figure out. But I prefer definitely a little bit higher of a carb diet. So now we're going to talk about adjusting your goals, right? So for fat loss, we're going to start at that point of we're going to take our body weight, our lean body weight, and we're going to multiply it by 12, right? So, and this is what I already figured out that for me, that's 2,300 calories roughly. So I'm going to just start right there. I'm going to start right there, and I'm going to spend about 2 weeks right there, and I'm going to watch my weight. And if my weight doesn't move between 1 to 2 pounds every week, then after 2 weeks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract another 200 calories from that. So we're going to go from 2,300 down to 2,100 calories. And then I'm going to wait another 2 weeks. And if my weight doesn't start moving down a pound to 2 pounds a week, then I'm going to subtract another. So now we're going to go from 2,100 to 1,900 calories. And now if my maintenance calories are 2,700 according to this, I'm in a pretty big deficit here. I'm in about a deficit of 800 calories, and I should absolutely be melting fat off my frame. And if I'm not, it probably means I was under eating for too long, and my metabolism is fried, my hormones are cooked, and I need to take a break, and I need to sit at maintenance for a while and speed up my metabolism and prime my metabolism. That's a conversation for a different day, though. We're going to hypothetically say this works. And then also this step down process of starting at 2,300 calories. While you're losing 1 to 2 pounds of weight a week, don't change that number. Stay there. Eat as much food as you can while losing the fat, right? And then when you start to plateau, because that's what will happen, you'll crash, then you'll plateau, then lower it 200 calories. And then you'll go until it stops, until you plateau again, and then lower it again. And in this way, you're going to be able to eat the most amount of food. And as your body adapts and your metabolism slows, you'll lower the calories then, which will slow that process of slowing your metabolism down. You'll be able to eat more food through this whole process, right? Makes cutting quite a bit less miserable. If you just jump right into 1,000 calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight for a few weeks, and then your body's going to adapt to being in starvation mode, and your weight loss is going to slow down, and you might start losing muscle. Bad things might start happening. Bad fucking things. So Throughout this process, my protein is never, ever, 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 no matter not one single fucking day a week, going to go under 200 grams of protein. We want to subtract these calories from our carbohydrates and our fats, right? So another key rule that I have with my clients is that we never stay in a more than over a 500 calorie deficit from your maintenance. So if your maintenance is 2,500 calories, 500 deficit would be 2,000 calories. So if we're at 1,900, we will never stay in a 500 plus calorie deficit for more than 8 weeks. The reason is we risk metabolic slowdown and we risk crashing our hormones and making it very, very difficult to lose fat and much easier to spiking up our cortisol, much easier to start losing muscle, and just overall getting to a point where fat loss is no longer very effective. So instead, we'll do 8 weeks in this deficit, and then we will take a 14-day, 2-week break at maintenance calories. So we'll go from 1,900 calories up to, in my case, 2,700 calories. I'll spend 2 weeks at 2,700 calories. This will speed my metabolism back up, get my hormones normalized again, and then we'll go back into our next 8-week cut. So that's what it looks like, is we're cutting for 8 weeks, then we're taking a break at maintenance for 2 weeks, and then we're cutting for 8 weeks. And you can pretty much do a cycle like that for 90 days, for a much longer term, sometimes even as long as 6 months. If you're giving your body that refeed and that break and that ability to balance out your hormones and your metabolism, you can drag these cuts out over much longer. And you're also, when you're cutting, you'll lose more fat because your metabolism is running much faster. So now for muscle gain, we want to calculate our maintenance calories. So how we're going to calculate our maintenance calories is we're going to take our lean body mass and multiply it by 14. So let me find my handy dandy. Where did you go, you calculator? I probably closed out of it. That's all right. I know where I hit it on my computer screen here. All right, get out of here. All right, so my lean body mass, not really super lean, but I'll use my body weight anyways because it's close enough to being lean. 194 times 14, that gives me 2,700 calories. That sounds about right for my maintenance. My maintenance is probably closer to 3,000, but I have more muscle on me, so that's just something you kind of figure out as you go along. And then so from 2,700, I'm going to taper up 100 calories. I'm going to go up to 2,800, and I'm going to sit there for a couple of weeks, and I'm going to see if my body weight starts to go up. If it doesn't go up, I'll go up to 2,900 after a couple weeks. If it doesn't go up, I'll go up to 3,000, 31, 32, until I find a point where I'm slowly starting to gain a little bit of weight, right? And now weight gain is going to be much slower than fat loss, right? So muscle gain takes a very long time. So if you're seeing every 2 weeks, even a half a pound or a pound go up on the scale, you're probably in a good lean bulk where you're just very slowly adding mass. What also might happen when you're eating around maintenance calories, a little bit under or a little bit over, is your body might recomposition. So your weight might stay relatively the same, but you'll notice that your body composition starts to change and you start to burn fat and build muscle simultaneously. This is always a win if we can trigger this. So now let's talk about what all of this actually means. So maintenance calories, when you hear that, people talk about it all the time, it just means energy. It just means an energetic balance in the body. So your calories in versus your calories out are balanced. You're burning the same amount of calories as you're ingesting, which is going to keep your body weight at relatively the same point. You might have small fluctuations due to water retention, sodium, water, things like that cause that higher carbohydrates one day. But overall, when you look at the trend of your weight, it's going to be a straight line and you're going to stay at basically the same weight. A caloric deficit is where your calories in are lower than your calories out. So now your body is having to tap into your fat stores, use that, liberate energy from stored fat to fuel your day-to-day activities. Whereas a surplus is where your calories in exceed your calories out. This is going to allow your body to store more fat, but also to build muscle because you're in a caloric surplus. The key is that we want to be in a small surplus and do a lean bulk so that our body can build muscle while storing minimal fat. You're always going to store some fat when you're eating in surplus. Our bodies are very efficient. So your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, is your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, your resting metabolism, plus your daily activity, plus digestion, which is your exercise, thermogenesis, the calories you're burning during exercise, your NEAT, your non-exercise thermogenesis, that's the calories you're burning, fidgeting, walking, doing all that stuff. And then your TEF, which is the thermic effect of food, the calories that it actually takes your body to digest food. Protein has the highest thermic effect. Something like 30% of the calories that you eat protein-wise are lost in the thermic effect of just digesting protein. So that's kind of a breakdown on how your body works. And also know that your body is an adaptation machine. So if you eat less, your metabolism slows down. That's just how it works. Your body is constantly, and we're trying to outpace this by eating a little bit less than as our metabolism is slowing down. If you eat more, your metabolism speeds up. And that's why it's good to go through these different cycles and phases where we're doing lean bulk, we're doing recomposition, where we're at maintenance, we're doing lean bulk, we're at a surplus, we're doing a cut for a limited amount of time, 8 weeks, maybe a little bit longer. But we're giving our body the ability to speed our metabolism back up so that when we go into the cuts, we're in a spot where we can actually burn some fat. That's why cycling phases, cut, maintenance, build, really keeps the results coming long term, and it's much more sustainable. It's so much less miserable than just trying to just stay in a caloric deficit all year. That sounds fucking awful to me. Final takeaways, man. Track what you eat, even for a week. Learn your body. Your maintenance might be different than what the numbers give. Your guys might be under eating. Your maintenance is going to be much lower. You might have a fast metabolism. Your maintenance is going to be higher. So you can get these generic numbers offline and through these calculations I just gave you, but you're really going to have to learn your body. You're going to have to go up a little bit, and you're going to have to find where you actually start losing weight, go down a little bit. You're going to have to play with this and find your exact numbers and then record those. And then also know that they're going to change. They're going to change with age. They're going to change with activity level, and they're going to change with the different cycles and phases you go through. So you have to be very flexible in this process. No, the next thing I cannot stress enough, and I have this conversation with my clients all the time, is do not fucking stay consistent for 3 to 4 weeks before adjusting. So the first day that your fucking weight plateaus, don't fucking crash your calories. Like the first week that you don't see 2 pounds come off on the scale, don't panic and fucking cut your calories in half. Like stay consistent for 3 to 4 weeks, 2 weeks at a minimum. You want to watch, we're watching trends over time. Sometimes fat loss will go like this. You'll lose fat, you'll lose weight, your weight will be going down, and then you'll plateau for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then it'll start going down again without even changing anything. That's just how the human body works. There's so many variables and so much of this we don't even fully understand. So be patient, trust the process, and don't panic and make irrational decisions based on emotion and how you feel. Make them based on logical numbers and data, and that comes from tracking your weight over a long time and watching trends. Fat loss is all about trend. Your weight's going to go up, down, but the trend should be trending downwards. Same with bulking. It's all about trends. Slowly, you should be seeing your body mass go up over time. Again, don't chase perfection. Chase data and progress. I cannot stress enough how important tracking your numbers is in this game. Nutrition shouldn't be restriction, but it should be precision. So if you're precise in what you do 85% of the time with your nutrition, it gives you the ability to be very flexible with the other 15%. But you can't not track anything through the week, make excuses, miss meals, maybe I stopped and had McDonald's instead and I didn't pick something good off the menu. And then also think that you can be super flexible on the weekend because you're just not you're not earning that 15% of flexibility when you're not sticking to it on a regular basis. So there you go, guys. That is my masterpiece on fucking calculating your calories and your macros. I hope you guys got some value. If you have any further questions about this, go ahead and shoot me a message on Instagram at thebeastwithin9. If you are one of my clients, this is going to be uploaded into the group by the end of the day so you guys can watch the replay and really understand this. This is part of a 5-part series that's really going to help you guys just understand and dial in everything you need to know about training and nutrition. So hope you guys got value. Again, if you're my client, the replay will be pasted in the group. And if you're not, you never get to see the replay. It doesn't even fucking exist. That's why you should be my client. Seriously, guys, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the support. Instagram, I see you guys. I'm supposed to be cutting. Okay, so we got questions. Lyle, that's you, I think. The Pirates. I recognize the Pirates. So I'm supposed to be cutting, but no weight change in 3 weeks. Yes, I actually just did your meal plan, and we changed it because it's been 3 weeks and there hasn't been any change to your weight. You've been consistent. You've been following the program. So that's why the first week it went down, we didn't do anything. The second week it went down, we didn't do anything. Last week I decided that, hey, let's do it. So that's kind of what you want to watch for is 2 to 4 weeks of a trend where the weight isn't changing, and then you make the adaptation. I wonder if that's my problem. My shit's in shock. Yeah, and that's another thing we're gonna watch for. So when we do this, same question, same person, Lyle. So when we do this next drop, because your calories are already pretty low and you're pretty active, like you're doing jujitsu, you're lifting 3 times a week, you're eating like 2,100 calories. You're a dude, like you know what I mean. Like you're already in a pretty big deficit, so you should be shedding weight mathematically. Now everybody's metabolism is a little bit different. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop. We do have a little bit of room here to drop down as long as you keep the protein really high. As long as you keep that 200-gram protein number every day and just make that like a religious, like a religious act of hitting your protein number, you're not going to lose any muscle. But yeah, if your weight doesn't start going down now, what we're going to do is what's called a reverse diet, and we're going to taper you up to maintenance. We're going to sit at maintenance for about 6 to 8 weeks and speed your metabolism up, balance out all your hormones, and then once your metabolism is cooking and you're out of this metabolically shocked state, then we will go into the deficit. I have to do that with about 60% of my clients. Is we have to do a refeed because they've been under eating for so long, because there's so much misinformation and propaganda about weight loss and fat loss, and we just live in like a toxic culture related to these things, and people just don't understand them and just don't realize how much they're under eating oftentimes, or they're either like totally under eating and then they're like indulging in way overeating, and then so they're just, their body just, their metabolism's super slow, and then they'll overeat for a week, and then then their body will blow up, and then they'll store a bunch of fat, and like that's what leads to being fat even when you're under eating. So yeah, that's going to be a big thing that we're going to have to look out for. David Neal, I love you, dog. I appreciate you. All right, if I missed any questions here, cool. It's hard to say, man. Honestly, we need more data. We need more data. We'll know if with this next drop, if you don't start losing fat with this next drop, if the weight doesn't start going down based on your activity level, even if we don't start seeing like a pound a week of movement, then I would say, yeah, your metabolism is shocked, and we need to do a reverse diet, speed it up, and then go into the deficit. So we'll know by the end of the next like 3-week cycle here, kind of where everything's at. And this, like I said, it's a super normal process in the beginning. So if I missed any questions, you can shoot them to me. I'm going to answer any that I have on Facebook here. You guys like this one? I got to do more stuff like this, huh? This is me, Cheryl, definitely. Yeah, no, that's why we're doing a reverse diet with you right now. Yeah, see, you're not alone. And I'm glad you got value. All right, guys, I'm going to get the fuck out of here and go crawl in a corner and cry. I appreciate the fuck out of you guys. And yeah, if you have any other questions or I missed any answers there, just DM me at The Beast Within on Instagram. And again, the replay will be in the group. Appreciate you guys.